I still remember the day my daughter was born, November 15th, 1989. The snow was falling outside the hospital window, and the nurse placed this tiny, perfect baby girl in my arms. She had my brown eyes and her father's dimples. I looked at her face and made a promise right then. I will always protect you, baby girl. No matter what. Her name was Sarah. And for 24 years, she was my whole world. You see, I raised Sarah alone. Her father walked out when she was 3 years old. Just left a note on the kitchen table that said, "I'm not ready for this." That was it. No goodbye. No explanation. No forwarding address. So it was just me and Sarah against the world. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing at a diner during the day and cleaning offices at night. I was tired all the time. My feet hurt. My back ached. But every single morning, I woke up and made Sarah pancakes with smiley faces made from blueberries because she deserved to smile. Couldn't give her expensive toys or fancy vacations, but I gave her my time. I gave her my attention. I read her bedtime stories every single night, even when I could barely keep my eyes open. I attended every school play, every soccer game, every parent-teacher conference. And Sarah? She was everything a mother could hope for. She was smart, made honor roll every semester. She was kind, always standing up for the kids who got bullied. She was funny, had this laugh that could light up any room. We were more than mother and daughter. We were best friends. Sarah told me everything. Her first crush on a boy named Tyler in 7th grade. Her heartbreak when he asked another girl to the dance. Her dreams of becoming a nurse so she could help people. Every Sunday, we had our tradition. We'd make chocolate chip cookies together, watch old movies, and talk for hours about everything and nothing. "Mom," she told me once when she was about 16, "I hope I find a man who loves me even half as much as you do." I hugged her tight that day. "You will, baby," I said. "But promise me something. Promise me you'll never settle. Never let anyone treat you less than you deserve. You're worth everything, Sarah. Everything." She looked at me with those big brown eyes. "I promise." Mom, and I believed her. God help me, I believed her. Sarah went to nursing school. Just like she'd always dreamed. I was so proud. My daughter, the first person in our family to go to college. I worked extra shifts to help with her tuition. Ate ramen noodles for dinner so she could have textbooks. It was worth it. Every sacrifice was worth it. She graduated top of her class. That day, watching her walk across that stage in her cap and gown. I cried like a baby. My little girl had done it. Despite everything, the absent father, the tight budget, all the struggles, she had done it. Sarah got a job at a hospital downtown. Good salary, good benefits. She rented a nice apartment and started building her life. I was happy for her, truly, but I noticed she started calling less at first. I didn't think much of it. She was busy. New job, new responsibilities. That's normal, right? Kids grow up. They have their own lives. But then the Sunday cookie tradition stopped. "Sorry. Mom, I have plans. Sorry, Mom, I'm tired. Sorry. Mom, maybe next week." Next week never came, and then one day in March, Sarah called me with news that changed everything. "Mom, I'm bringing someone home for dinner. His name is David, and I think he might be the one." My heart jumped. My baby girl had found love. "Tell me everything," I said. "Where did you meet him? What does he do? What's he like?" Sarah laughed. "You'll see when you meet him, Mom. I don't want to spoil it. Just trust me, he's amazing." So I prepared. I cleaned my little house until it sparkled. I made my famous pot roast, the one Sarah always loved. I bought fresh flowers for the table. I wanted everything to be perfect. The doorbell rang at exactly 6 o'clock. I opened the door with my biggest smile, and there he was. David. He was tall, good looking, I suppose, with dark hair and green eyes. He wore an expensive looking jacket and had a firm handshake. "So nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Thompson," he said, flashing a smile. "Sarah talks about you all the time." The words were right, but something was wrong. I can't explain it exactly. You know how sometimes you meet someone and your gut just twists? Like your body is trying to tell you something your mind hasn't figured out yet? That's what I felt. During dinner, David dominated the conversation. He talked about his job in sales, his new car, his plans for the future. He barely let Sarah get a word in. And when she did speak, he'd interrupt her or correct her. "Actually, babe, that's not exactly how it happened, ... No, honey, you're MISRMEMBERING ... ... Small things. But I also noticed how he looked at me. When Sarah wasn't watching, his smile would slip just a little. His eyes would go cold. Like he was sizing me up. Like I was an obstacle. After dinner, Sarah helped me with the dishes while David watched TV in the living room. "So?" Sarah whispered excitedly. "What do you think?" I chose my words carefully. "He seems confident." Sarah beamed. "He is. He's so sure of himself. It's one of the things I love about him." "How long have you been together?" 4 months. My eyebrows rose. "That's not very long, honey." "I know, but when you know, right?" I wanted to say more. I wanted to tell her about the cold feeling in my stomach, about the way he interrupted her, about the look in his eyes, but I didn't want to be that mother. The overbearing one, the one who couldn't let go. So I smiled and said, "Just take your time, baby. There's no rush." Sarah hugged me. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, sweetheart." That night after they left, I sat alone in my kitchen. The feeling wouldn't go away. Something was wrong with David. I just didn't know what yet. Over the next few months, I tried to keep an open mind. Maybe I was being unfair. Maybe I was just being an overprotective mother who couldn't accept that her daughter was growing up. David wasn't rude to me, exactly. He just made me uncomfortable. But Sarah seemed happy. She called me less and less. When we did talk, it was always "David and I did this," or "David thinks that." She was changing, becoming smaller somehow, less confident, more careful with her words. I told myself it was normal. People change when they're in love. Then came the announcement. Sarah called me on a Tuesday night, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Mom, David proposed. We're getting married." My heart dropped. That's wonderful, honey," I managed to say. "When?" "We're thinking June, a summer wedding." "Isn't that perfect?" June was 3 months away. "That's very soon, Sarah. Don't you want to wait a little longer? Plan properly?" "David says there's no point in waiting when you're sure." "And I'm sure, Mom. I've never been more sure of anything." There it was again. "David says." After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. I couldn't shake the feeling. Something was wrong. I knew it deep in my bones, but I had no proof. Just a mother's intuition, and that's when I made a decision that would change everything I was going to find out the truth about. David. My friend Martha from church, her son worked at the police station. Nothing fancy, just administrative stuff. But he had access to records. I know what you're thinking. It was wrong of me. An invasion of privacy. Going behind my daughter's back. But you have to understand, I would have done anything to protect my Sarah. Anything. I called Martha's son, explained the situation, and asked if he could run a background check. 2 days later, he called me back. His voice was serious. "Mrs. Thompson, you need to see this." I drove to his office that evening. He handed me a folder. I opened it, and my world fell apart. David's real name wasn't even David. It was Daniel Whitmore. He had a criminal record, 3 arrests for domestic violence, a restraining order from an ex-girlfriend, and something even worse. He had served 2 years in prison for assault. He beat a woman so badly she was hospitalized for 3 weeks. Broken ribs, fractured skull, internal bleeding. The photos were in the file. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the papers. This man, this monster, was going to marry my daughter. Asterisk, I called Sarah immediately. Honey, I need to see you. It's important. Please, can you come over? She sighed. Mom, I'm busy with wedding stuff. Can it wait? No, it absolutely cannot wait. Please, Sarah, I'm begging you. Something in my voice must have scared her because she agreed. An hour later, she was sitting in my living room. I handed her the folder. What is this? She asked. Just look, please. I watched her face as she read. Watched the color drain from her cheeks. Watched her hands start to tremble. Where did you get this? She whispered. It doesn't matter where. What matters is that it's true. Sarah, this man is dangerous. He's hurt women before. Badly. You cannot marry him. Sarah stared at the papers for a long moment. Then something shifted in her expression. She closed the folder. David told me about this. I blinked. What? He told me. He made mistakes when he was younger. He was in a bad place. But he's changed, Mom. He's not that person anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Changed? Sarah, he put a woman in the hospital. He served time in prison. That was years ago. It doesn't matter. People like this don't change. Sarah stood up, her face red. You don't know him like I do. You've never given him a chance. From the very first day, you've been judging him, looking for reasons to hate him. I've been looking for reasons to protect you. I don't need your protection. I'm not a child anymore. Then stop acting like one. The words hung in the air between us. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I knew you'd do this. David warned me. He said you'd try to come between us. My blood went cold. He said what? He said you'd never accept him. That you were jealous of losing me. That you'd do anything to break us up. I grabbed her hands. Sarah, listen to me. He's manipulating you. This is what men like him do. They isolate you from the people who love you. Please, baby. Please listen. She pulled her hands away. I'm marrying him, Mom, with or without your blessing. Sarah, and if you can't support me, then maybe you shouldn't come to the wedding. She picked up the folder and walked to the door. I'll give this back to David. Let him know what you did. Sarah, please. She turned to look at me one last time. I thought you wanted me to be happy. Mom, I guess I was wrong. The door slammed behind her. I collapsed on the couch. Sobbing. My worst fears were coming true, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The weeks that followed were the loneliest of my life. Sarah didn't call, didn't text. When I tried to reach her, she didn't answer. I drove by her apartment once, saw David's car in the parking lot. I sat there for an hour, trying to gather the courage to knock on her door. I couldn't do it. What would I even say? She had made her choice. The wedding invitation arrived in the mail. I held it in my hands. Tears streaming down my face. David and Sarah, request the honor of your presence. I wasn't sure if it was a peace offering or a final goodbye, but I knew I had to be there. Even if she hated me, even if she never spoke to me again, I had to see her one more time. June 15th arrived. The wedding was at a little church on the edge of town. White flowers everywhere. A string quartet playing softly. Sarah had always dreamed of something like this. I sat in the back row. Alone. When Sarah walked down the aisle. My heart broke into a million pieces. She was so beautiful in her white dress, so radiant. She looked like an angel, but when her eyes found mine, there was no warmth there, just anger. Just hurt. She looked away and kept walking toward him. The ceremony was short. Traditional vows. When the minister asked if anyone had objections, I wanted to stand up. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run to the altar and drag my daughter away from that monster, but I didn't because I knew it wouldn't matter. I knew she wouldn't listen. I knew I would only push her further away, so I sat there in silence, and watched my daughter make the biggest mistake of her life, at the reception. Sarah finally approached me. I'm surprised you came. You're my daughter. I will always show up for you. No matter what. She crossed her arms. Are you going to apologize? I looked at her. My beautiful girl. The baby I had promised to protect. No. Her jaw tightened. Then we have nothing to talk about. Sarah, I will never apologize for trying to keep you safe. Never. But I want you to know something. I took her hands. She tried to pull away, but I held firm. If anything ever happens, if you ever need me, if you ever need to come home, I will be here. My door is always open. No questions asked. No, I told you so. Just love, always. Her eyes glistened. For a moment, just a brief, fragile moment, I saw my little girl again. The one who made cookies with me on Sundays. The one who told me her secrets. The one who trusted me, then she blinked and the wall went back up. Goodbye, Mom. She walked away and I walked out of that reception alone. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, months turned into years. Sarah didn't call, didn't write. Complete silence. I tried. In the beginning, birthday cards, Christmas presents, letters telling her I loved her. Everything was returned unopened. Eventually, I stopped trying. It hurt too much. I heard things through the grapevine, of course. Small town. People talked. Sarah and David had moved to a bigger house. David had gotten a promotion. Sarah had quit her nursing job to focus on the home. Someone said, that worried me. Sarah had worked so hard for that career. She loved being a nurse. Why would she give it up? But I couldn't ask her. Couldn't reach her. Couldn't do anything but worry from afar. Then I heard they had children. A little girl first. Named Emma. Then a boy. Named Jack. I had grandchildren. Grandchildren I had never met. That was the hardest part. Knowing that somewhere out there, two little people shared my blood, my family, my history. And they had no idea I existed. I wondered if Sarah ever talked about me. If she showed them pictures. If they even knew my name. Probably not. David would have made sure of that. The years crawled by. I got older. My hair turned gray. My joints started aching. The house felt bigger and emptier, but I never stopped thinking about Sarah. Every night. Before I went to sleep, I said a prayer. Please, God, keep her safe. Keep those babies safe. And if it's your will, bring her back to me someday. 10 years. 10 years of silence. 10 years of wondering. 10 years of waiting. And then one rainy October night, everything changed. I was already in bed when I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Nobody visited me anymore. My friends from church had passed away or moved. I had become a ghost, haunting my own life. Knock, knock, knock. Louder this time. I got up slowly, my old bones creaking. Shuffled to the front door. Looked through the peephole, and my heart stopped. Sarah. She was standing on my porch in the pouring rain. But this wasn't the Sarah I remembered. This woman looked broken, thin, so thin. Her hair was messy, plastered to her face. Her clothes were soaked and dirty. And her face, oh God, her face. A black eye. Swollen lip. Bruises on her cheek. I flung the door open. Sarah. She looked at me with those brown eyes, my eyes, now filled with tears and terror. Double quotes, Mom. Bell quotes. Her voice was barely a whisper. Mom, I'm so sorry. And then she collapsed into my arms. Behind her, I saw an old car in the driveway. The engine was still running. And in the back seat, two small faces were pressed against the window. Emma and Jack. My grandchildren. Looking at me with frightened eyes. Get them inside, I told Sarah. Hurry. We moved quickly. Sarah brought the children in while I closed all the curtains, locked all the doors. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. The children. God, they were beautiful. Emma looked just like Sarah at that age. Jack had his mother's dimples, but they were scared. So scared. Are you our grandma? Emma asked in a small voice. I knelt down to her level. Yes, baby. I'm your grandma. And you're safe now. I promise. You're safe. Emma burst into tears. Daddy was hurting Mommy. He hit her. He hit her so much. Jack was silent, clutching his sister's hand. But his eyes, those eyes had seen too much. Too much for a little boy. I gathered them both in my arms. It's okay. It's okay. Grandma's got you now. Nobody's going to hurt you or your mommy ever again. I settled the children on the couch with blankets and hot chocolate. They fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from whatever nightmare they had escaped. Then I sat with Sarah in the kitchen. She could barely look at me. 10 years. Mom, I know, baby. I should have listened to you. I should have. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You were in love. There's a difference. She finally met my eyes. Aren't you going to say it? Say what? I told you so. I reached across the table and took her hands. Sarah, I have waited 10 years for this moment. 10 years of praying you would come home. And now you're here. Why on earth would I waste a single second saying, I told you so? She broke down then. Really broke down. The kind of crying that comes from the deepest part of your soul. I held her like I did when she was a little girl. When she had nightmares. When she scraped her knee. When the kids at school were mean. I've got you, I whispered. Mama's got you? That night, Sarah told me everything. The abuse had started small. Just like it always does. A criticism here. A raised voice there. She thought it was stress. Work pressure. Normal couple stuff. Then came isolation. David convinced her to quit her job. Said he made enough money. Said she should focus on being a wife and mother. Then he cut off her friends. Her coworkers. Her family. Me. Double quotes. He said you were toxic. Sarah whispered. Said you were trying to control me. I believed him. God help me. I believed him. Then came the hitting. The first time he apologized for hours. Bought her flowers. Promised it would never happen again. It happened again. And again. The children watched. They saw everything. Jack stopped speaking for a while. Sarah said, 6 months old, and he just stopped. The doctor said it was stress-related. I knew it was David, but I couldn't leave. I had no money, no job, nowhere to go. You could have come to me. He monitored everything, Mom, my phone, my emails. If I even mentioned your name, She trailed off. I didn't need her to finish. What happened tonight? I asked out. Sarah took a shaky breath. He came home drunk, angrier than I'd ever seen him. Said he lost his job. Started screaming that it was my fault, that I was bad luck, that I had ruined his life. She touched her swollen eye. He hit me in front of the kids. Emma started crying. He raised his hand to her ... double quotes. Her voice broke. That's when I knew. I grabbed them and ran. I didn't even take our things. I just got them in the car and drove. The only place I could think of was here. You did the right thing. Did I? She looked at me with haunted eyes. I let him hurt me for 10 years, Mom. I let my children watch their father beat their mother. What kind of mother does that? A mother who was scared. A mother who was trapped. A mother who was surviving the only way she knew how. I gripped her hands tighter. You got out, Sarah. That's what matters. You protected your babies when it counted most. Don't you dare blame yourself for what that man did. She cried again. I held her again, and slowly, the sun began to rise. The next few months were hard. We filed a police report, got a restraining order. Sarah and the kids moved in with me permanently. David tried to fight it at first. Sent threatening messages. Showed up at my house once, screaming on the lawn until the neighbors called the police. They arrested him that night. Turns out, he had violated his parole from his previous assault charge. Combined with the new evidence of domestic violence and witness, testimony from the children... David went back to prison... this time. For a long time, Sarah struggled. There were nightmares, panic attacks, days when she couldn't get out of bed. I understood. Trauma doesn't just disappear because you're safe now. It lingers. It haunts, but slowly she got better. She found a therapist who specialized in abuse survivors. She started going to a support group. She reconnected with old friends who had never stopped caring, and she started nursing again, part-time at first, at a local clinic. Then more hours as her confidence grew. The woman who walked into my house that rainy October night, broken, terrified, defeated, began to disappear. In her place, a new Sarah emerged, stronger, braver, more herself than she had been in years. Was so proud of her, but I was even more proud of how she was raising those children. Emma and Jack thrived at first. They were timid, flinched at loud noises, had trouble sleeping, but children are resilient. Especially when they're loved, I spoiled them shamelessly, baked them cookies, read them stories, took them to the park every Saturday, and I taught them what Sarah had never learned, what real love looks like. Real love doesn't hurt, I told them. Real love doesn't scare you. Real love makes you feel safe. Remember that always, Emma nodded solemnly. I want to be like you when I grow up, Grandma. Like me. Strong. You're the strongest person I know. I hugged her so tight, if only she knew. If only she knew how many nights I had cried myself to sleep. How many times I had doubted myself. How close I had come to giving up, but I didn't tell her any of that, because maybe being strong doesn't mean never breaking. Maybe it means getting up every time you do. One Sunday morning. About a year after Sarah came home, we were making chocolate chip cookies together, just like the old days. Emma and Jack were in the living room watching cartoons. The house smelled like vanilla and butter. Everything felt peaceful. Sarah was quiet as she measured the flour. Then she said, I'm sorry, Mom. I looked at her. For what? For everything. For not believing you. For cutting you off. For wasting 10 years of our lives. I set down my mixing spoon. Sarah, no, let me finish. I was so angry at you. That day, when you showed me those papers, I felt like you were attacking my dream. The dream of being loved, being chosen, being enough. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I wanted David to be different so badly. I wanted to be wrong about what you showed me. So I made myself believe it. I made myself believe he had changed. Because the alternative was admitting that my fairy tale was a nightmare. She wiped her eyes. You tried to save me, and I hated you for it. I'm so sorry. I pulled her into my arms. Baby, I forgave you the moment you walked out that door 10 years ago. I never stopped loving you. Not for 1 second. Not even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. She held me tight. I don't deserve you, Mom. You deserve everything. You always have. We stood there for a long time, crying and hugging. While the cookie dough sat forgotten on the counter. It was the best Sunday of my life. Years passed. Good years. Sarah eventually met a man named Thomas. A good man. Kind, patient. The kind of man who opens doors and remembers anniversaries and cries at sad movies. He proposed on a Sunday afternoon. While we were all making cookies together. The kids cheered. Sarah cried. I cried harder. At their wedding, Sarah asked me to walk her down the aisle. You raised me, she said. You saved me. You're not just my mother. You're my hero. I ugly cried the entire ceremony. Emma grew up to be a social worker. Helps women escape abusive relationships. Saves lives every single day. Jack became a teacher. Works with troubled kids. Shows them what a good man looks like. I like to think I had something to do with that. And me? I'm old now. Really old. My hands shake. My memory isn't what it used to be, but I'm happy. Every Sunday, my family comes over. We make chocolate chip cookies. We watch movies. We talk about everything and nothing, just like the old days. Sarah always sits next to me, always holds my hand, and sometimes when the grandkids are busy and the house is quiet, she'll look at me and say, "Thank you, Mom." For what, baby? For never giving up on me. Even when I gave up on myself, I squeeze her hand. That's what mothers do. My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. Finally join the angels, as your grandmother used to say. I want you to know something. That night 10 years ago, when you stood at my door in the rain, that wasn't just the night you came home. It was the night I came alive again. I spent 10 years in darkness, Sarah. 10 years of missing you. 10 years of wondering if I'd ever see you again. Some nights, I wasn't sure I'd survive, but I did. Because hope is a stubborn thing, and love is even more stubborn. You asked me once if I was angry about those lost years. The truth is, I was for a long time. But anger is heavy, baby. It weighs you down. And at some point, I decided I'd rather carry love instead. I am so proud of the woman you've become. So proud of the mother you are. So proud of the family we built together. You think I saved you that night, but you saved me, too. Remember what I told you when you were 16? You were worth everything, Sarah. Everything. I meant it then. I mean it now. Take care of those babies. Take care of Thomas. Take care of yourself, and remember, my door is always open, even now, especially now. I love you forever. Mom, to anyone reading this who sees themselves in Sarah's story, please know that you are not alone. There is help. There's hope. There's a way out. Asterisk, you're worth everything. Everything.